soon enough.
Not soon enough, exactly.
We should start sending peach pies.
Take the hint.
All right, well, we're going to start here.
Okay.
Right.
So, as usual, we're going to ask you guys to go to Facebook, like and share the page, comment on some stuff. Head over to Twitter. Our Twitter handle is.
That comes Natural Pod.
And then head over to iTunes and rate and review the show and subscribe so you can get it for free every Friday when it comes out. And we're going to start proper now. So, comes naturally, we are.
Joe?
I'm Cody. And joining us live at his comic shop is.
Ken.
Yeah, the return of Ken.
Yes.
So.
Ken strikes back.
Yeah, Ken strikes back. Which
It's
is
the third one. This would be with a vengeance, wouldn't it be?
That's
It would
right.
be.
Either if we're
Yeah.
going reverse order, I'm the New Hope.
is this the third time?
Is it the third time?
At least, right?
Yeah, I think
least,
so. I don't
yeah.
know. So, with Revenge of the Ken.
Let's do it.
Episode 6 with Ken will be, Ken.
The clone Kens.
Oh, what could
Oh,
we
that'd
do?
be episode 2, right?
Well, I mean, Return of the Ken would be.
The Phantom Ken.
Yeah, ugh. Yeah, gross.
It's a really nerdy version of Hollow Man.
Exactly.
It's not even good. It's not even good.
Palpatine. Oh no, dude. Darth Plagueis. I blame Darth Plagueis for this whole problem in the Star Wars universe right now.
Is that what it is?
Is it Darth Plagueis? Is he our number one villain or no?
I don't know.
I don't know. There's a lot of rumors going around who Snook is.
Yeah, who is Snook? Or Snoke, whatever.
I don't know. I think it's going to be someone we don't know who it is.
Who's Phasma?
It's that chick from Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
At least we know she's actually a lady.
that's true.
In the
Yeah.
trailer, you see her without a helmet.
I told you my theory.
Yeah, we were talking about actually. Did we talk about it on the show or we talked about it off the show?
I don't know. We talk so much.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it was about how she's a super spy.
I think she's Poe's mom.
I mean, Poe's mom?
Poe Dameron's mom.
No, because she's too young to be.
Well, how would it work?
Yeah. Well, Poe, in the Shattered Empire story, he was born at the end of that story,
Okay.
which took place after Return of the Jedi. And how old's like Poe, would you say? 24, 25?
After Return of the Jedi?
Like in the new movies? And Force Awakens?
Well, Force Awakens is 20. I know we talked about it before. It's like 23 years after.
So I think about
That sounds
20,
about right,
22,
yeah.
23 years old, right? And at the end of the Shattered Empire comic series, they introduce, or in the beginning of it, they introduce
No, it'd
Poe's
be
mom.
30 something because wasn't Kylo in his 30s? Like he's like 29, 30, right? When we figured out.
I don't think so.
We found this timeline we were talking about it the other day on the show.
So is Poe and Kylo around the same age?
That could be.
Because theoretically, Poe was raised around a Jedi tree.
29 years
Not
old
theoretically.
as of Force Awakens.
29. So
Okay.
yeah, and he was born a year after the events of Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So-
like, at the Shattered Empire story took place right at the end of Return of the Jedi, right? That
Shattered-
4-part miniseries.
Wasn't Shattered Empire during Empire?
It took place like it starts more or
thought-
less during the Ewok celebration in that 4-part Shattered Empire story
Okay.
on Endor. And they're all celebrating the fact that they defeated the Empire finally, and one of the
Shattered
pilots,
Empire did? Because that wasn't Vader in Shattered Empire?
Shattered, no. Like Vader was, he was already dead, but they did the whole burning of the
Yeah, the body.
carcass at the end of Shattered Empire.
So we were told, by the way. I didn't see a body burning. I saw armor burning.
That's true. No body.
There's
no
a-
body, no evidence.
There's a
Pretty
lot
sure
of
that
rumors.
that he was in there.
Because in Shattered,
You peel his body out of that thing.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Good point, dude. That's like trying to get bacon off of a microwave piece of
Yeah.
wax paper.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that, dude. It's like, all right, if you overcook bacon on wax paper in a microwave, that thing's not coming off.
Nah.
There's a
And,
band-aid, bro. Just whack. Pull it off.
Oh.
But in Shattered Empire, in the Endor celebration, that's where we get introduced to Poe's mom and Poe's dad. And Poe's dad was an Endor trooper down with Han Solo on Endor. And then Poe's mom was an A-Wing fighter that helped lead the squadron against blowing up the Death Star again. And Poe's dad was kind of like glossed over a little bit, but Poe's mom was the focus of that miniseries.
Okay.
And she went on a spy mission with Leia, Lando, and Luke. And at the last part, Luke took her with him to go into the Emperor's quarters and break out the Jedi trees. Then he took the Jedi trees and gave one to Poe's parents, and more or less they retired from the rebellion at that point because the war was over, and they went to a planet and planted the tree and rose Poe. And that was more or less the end of the story, and Luke must have took his tree where we see him more or less at the top of whatever
Wherever
mountain that
planet
is, middle
is,
of the
yeah.
ocean.
Yeah.
Like Hawaii Part 2, with like only one vacation spot just for him. And that was more or less the other Jedi tree. So that makes, I believe, like Poe raised around a Jedi tree gives him the exceptional Luke Skywalker type of X-wing fighter skills with his flight skills. And Luke, you know, whatever he did by himself up there, just trying to maybe find ways to foster the Force. But technically, trees lay seeds.
Okay. Well,
And
yeah.
so if Luke and Poe's mom don't know about this tree, and they're the only people that know it, could have Luke been fostering the Force in different parts of the galaxy
Just
to
kinda
try to
planting
reawaken
seeds.
the Force? And
I didn't know anything about that stuff.
But-
I haven't read Shattered Empire.
Poe's mom and Poe's father have not been talked about since that series. So my theory was that Leia's talked to from an intelligent source in Force Awakens, right? That gives them information about the attacks
Well, they have
from the first
spies that we know of.
Yeah, and now Captain Phasma, ironically, was able to let Finn go, which helped Poe be freed. From, is it the fifth of first, like the, what's it called? The fifth order, first order?
First order.
Yeah, first order.
yeah.
My apologies, dude. Think of the fifth column from V type of thing from
Not
that
the
V
same
TV
thing.
series.
No, not
I
the
know,
same thing.
completely different things. This both start with F's. That's about it. But
And numbers.
and numbers. So, in theory, too easy for Captain Phasma to let Finn go and like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought he was under my control. I thought he was trained. I didn't think he would do something like this. Or is Phasma actually a spy for Leia that's communicating information with inside of the First Order? And the big reveal will be that in the next movie, there's always like, Vader or Luke, I'm your father. Poe, stop, I'm your mother. And takes off the mask, and there you have. Just like with Vader, it's not the person underneath the mask that's the actor, it's the person they want it to be for their story. And then there's your, oh wow, look, it's actually Poe's mom this whole time, was Captain Phasma.
Do we know what Poe's mom looks like? Said she
She
was in the book, right?
Yes, she looks a lot like, I don't want to say Afra, but a little bit like Afra.
She blonde?
No, she's dark hair.
All right. Well,
That's what I'm
they
saying,
show
like the whole
Phasma in the new trailer without the helmet on. She's got blonde hair.
They show her in the trailer with Cap. She
Yeah,
could
but that's
have
a
dyed her
neat
hair.
look. Yeah.
Just like that way she hides from, you know, like if
Yeah.
if they've seen her, they may have disguised her to look differently.
I mean, saying, yeah, that is nothing.
Especially if they don't want her to be found out that she's any connections to the rebellion or whatever. They're not even called rebellion anymore because they won. What's their new name now?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
The
go with
winners.
The alliance or
The
something.
alliance,
the
yeah.
winners.
They're the Resistance in Force Awakens.
The Resistance. Okay.
Yeah.
And just wild theories based off of reading comics and watching movies and, you know, hoping that there she is, dude.
That's it. Yeah, that's right there.
She even looks a little bit like Han Solo's ex-wife.
A little bit, yeah.
Like could be descended
Oh,
from
that's
that.
right.
And yeah.
I remember that.
Shara Bay. There we go. I apologize. I couldn't remember the name without looking at it on a screen, but that is it. That's Poe's mom, Shara Bay. But yeah, she worked with Lando, she worked with Leia, and she worked with Luke, all in the same story. And then that last story with getting the Jedi tree going, OSHIT. That is a huge little hint about what's going on here in The Force Awakens. That tree awakened the Force because Emperor was trying to keep it constipated so he could control the Force. Now the Force is awakening across the galaxy. That's why Shattered Empire is called The Journey to Force Awakens, because they're awakening the Force in that crazy-ass tree.
Interesting.
But that story is so underrated in the big picture of things. I don't know why it's so underglossed, but
And this came out in 2015?
yeah, it came out right before Force Awakens did.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I go, what the heck does this have to do with anything? And then you read it and go, oh, wow. We don't see Shara Bay in the movie. We don't see... What was her husband's name again, too? Poe's dad?
I think that
Should say no.
was Cass Dameron?
Yeah, Cass Dameron.
Yeah.
He was the Endor trooper, and she was the A-wing pilot. That what took place in that final battle.
This was only, what, 4 issues long?
Yeah.
Too? Yeah, that's a
I
pretty
mean,
short read.
Like Marco Cicchetto did the art on it. I'm trying to remember
Oh,
who.
Cicchetto did the
Yeah,
art
his
on
art's
it?
beautiful.
I love-
It was Rucka that did that.
Rucka, that's right. Rucka wrote that.
Because he wrote all the Road to Force Awakens stuff. Because he wrote the youth novel and stuff.
He did. Did he write the Obi and Anakin series? Because I know Cicchetto drew the art in that too. Did someone else write that one?
I remember.
Because I also think that the pilot that's her mentor in that Shattered Empire story, something's fishy about him too. Because they had someone that looked similar to him inside of Obi and Anakin, where it was a young Jedi training with Anakin, and they're kind of clowning on Anakin. Then Anakin went nuts on that Darth Maul hologram robot thing.
Let's see.
And they're going, "Oh man, Anakin's no joke."
Oh no, it's Charles Soule that did.
Charles Soule
wrote
did that one?
Yeah.
And then also in this this new series, Screaming Citadel, there's another character that looks similar to that, character that was the X-wing pilot that's in Poe's crew. And maybe it's just like that. Marco Cicchetto really likes that alien design, and he designed that on his own. But the guy that looks kind of like a communion alien, you know what I'm talking about? He's
yeah.
He was Poe's mom's mentor. He's inside of Poe's X-wing squadron still. And there was one that looked similar to him that was inside of the Jedi training sessions when Palpatine was kind of studying Anakin and Obi-Wan and Anakin. And then, of course, they just put him inside that Screaming Citadel story too, as well, at the party where they go to try to give their gifts to the Red Queen lady.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just found that pretty fascinating. I'm trying to put all the dots together
Here it says
on
she
my
died
map.
6 years after the Battle of Endor, though.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that
Yeah.
happen?
She dies.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that.
Dies.
It just says
That
in the
wasn't
end,
in the
Poe never
story.
heard more of his mother's stories. Shara Bey died 6 years after the Battle of Endor.
Is that in books or something?
I don't know. This is a Wikipedia site.
That's like Lucas's trolls getting in there trying to get us to turn the other direction.
Yeah, right?
Because that never happened in the comic. It just showed them living
Let's see.
with like Poe Dameron's baby, but Poe Dameron baby or baby Poe, looking off the sunset. We can raise our kid now. And
What's
there's no
Bloodline?
war.
Yeah, there's just so much to go through. I'd have to
Also
search some
before the
more stuff.
Awakening.
Yeah,
It's a book.
before the Awakening.
It must have been, yeah, 'cause there were novels that came out that were supposed to extend the story. Kind of like how the comics are extending the story.
Well, before the Awakening was the story of Finn, Rey, and Poe.
But
Okay.
it seems like that's where they mentioned that his
Oh,
mom,
mom
died,
died.
Was in
6
that?
years after
Could be
Endor.
because
yeah.
there's a story about him in there.
So
'cause-
how did Poe get into the rebellion then? Where did they find him or something? How'd that
Well, I
whole
mean,
thing
No,
work
obviously-
out?
he
he's-
decided to follow in his mom's footsteps, is what it said.
yeah, I'm gonna guess he
Yeah.
because the way he grew up, probably.
Okay. And what happened to his dad?
That's another good story. I don't know.
He had a sex change and became.
Maybe
That
Plasma.
takes a really weird.
Can you imagine? Maybe Poe's dad Snoke.
You see,
Okay,
everybody,
that's
you
like-
can
that's
start
complete.
out as a low-level stormtrooper
Yeah.
and work your way all the way up to.
You could be an Endor soldier that wears horrible costumes and green camouflage. But you can become Snoke if you try by the 17-step plan to become a dictator for the First Order. You can sign up now by calling 1-800-FIRST ORDER.
I don't think it's that easy.
They blew up the planet pretty easily. I was pretty impressed. They got this new death weapon pretty easily, that First Order.
I mean, it did take 30 years, not easily.
Well, you have to.
By the way, if you
have to gather all that
haven't
stuff.
read the Force Awakens book,
Right.
the weapon that's in the book is drastically different from the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How'd they change it up?
So it doesn't actually shoot a beam; it's a sublight weapon.
Like solar or something?
So it opens up literally a hyperspace tunnel
What?
and
Wow.
sends in this energy and erupts the core of the planet, turning a planet into basically a planet-sized bomb that just eradicates all the planets around it.
And this is why humans, we don't mess with the Hadron Collider. Because I can see.
It's ridiculous.
Good God.
Yeah, it's way more impressive than the
That sounds pretty amazing.
than the splitting beam one that just eliminates all the planets around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
That's the magic of books. You can be so much more than what the mind
Yep.
can put onto film.
Very true. I'm trying to see if there's an updated one that has anything on it, but I don't see anything.
Yeah, for his dad, it just says that he settled on Yavin 4 and planted the tree at a Jedi temple. So it doesn't really say what he ended up doing.
Gosh, dude, who's writing this stuff too? Because it wasn't in the Jedi Temple. Wasn't that in Palpatine's chambers? Because he had it locked up.
Let's see, number 3.
Well, he could have after the fact.
Shattered
And then-
Empire
okay.
Part 4.
Because like Luke and Shara like busted into what was left over of the Empire's quarters to get to Palpatine's chambers
Says it was issue 4 of
to
Shattered
get the tree.
Empire.
Yeah, that was the last part of the story. That was a pretty awesome thing. I'm going, what? Because I was shocked to all free water. Because water should be free no matter where you're at, especially in Arizona.
Yeah, right.
But as we drink bottled waters here, I was shocked about what they found inside the quarters. I'm going, are you kidding me? The Jedi tree, the Jedi Force grows on trees. They're spores. I was not aware of that until that moment.
A lot of people are unaware of a lot of stuff with the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, not everyone can be born of midichlorians.
Yeah, this says in the jungles of Yavin
Now-
4, Shara Bay and Castameron plant the second tree in the ground.
Second tree.
Dameron takes her hand
Because Luke
And-
took one and he took one. Or she took one.
and says, "Let's go home, Shara Bay." So apparently
That's how it ends,
That's
yeah.
how it ends. Yeah. It was just back here. It says that it's a Jedi temple.
Huh.
Yeah.
Which could have been destroyed by now because, Kylo and his Knights of Ren went on a Jedi killing
from
spree.
the Jedi temple. I misread that. From the Jedi temple. So it wasn't a Jedi temple where they planted it. They took it from a Jedi temple.
Yeah, dude. That's,
Right.
Okay, yeah. It's like I said, I remember it's like that. They busted in because it was guarded by the Empire pretty hardcore, and it was in one of Emperor's chambers. I remember that going. They like, whoa. You see, Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Well, that's it too. The Wikipedia, they seem to know their stuff. So
Oh yeah.
if I read it again, these people will definitely prove me wrong. But I remember it was freaking awesome.
Do you have the trade downstairs?
I think we have it. Yeah,
You can-
probably look it up.
I'll grab it.
All right.
Keep talking.
Cool. But it was pretty intense 4-part story. I call it one of the most important miniseries in this whole movie franchise
Yeah.
storytell. Because it's setting up something. And we didn't see much of it in Force Awakens of what it set up. But it was the journey to Force Awakens. And I think the main thing was it was the Dane Jedi trees is what the whole point of the story was. And to introduce, Poe's parents and then just kind of gloss over like, oh, they died 6 years later inside of the book. Darth Vader supposedly killed Anakin Skywalker too.
Yeah.
And so, George Lucas and his story tells whatever's convenient to keep the reveal hidden until they make the reveal
Yeah.
is not past their wheelhouse.
Definitely not. Man, that's a lot to take in.
I love Star Wars films, dude. I mean, I think because I read too many detective comics growing up with Batman, and
Yeah.
DC was like, okay, let's see if you can pick this out before we reveal it. That's why I love Star Wars so much. They do the exact same thing. Can we shock and awe you before you figure it out?
I'll
find it
definitely have
there?
to-
Looks like Cody has found the Star Wars Shattered Empire trade paperback.
downstairs.
The what?
It was on display
I love that. That's my favorite non-movie Star Wars story. Because Return of the Jedi was my favorite one as a kid because I was 9 years old when it came out, and we got Ewoks that are supposed to be like little short sawed-off Wookiees jumping around like knocking biker scouts, which I
Right.
thought were the cool scout troopers,
Setting up
or
traps here and
stormtroopers.
there, all-
Yep.
yeah,
tripping
super
scout walkers
quick.
with like little
It was a trap.
pieces of twine.
Yes, it was a trap.
It was a trap. And Admiral Akbar, it's a trap.
Well, there she is with the. She's not a. She's not a.
spy there.
Yeah, she's not really unfamiliar with being dressed as an imperial person.
They taught her to be a spy. And that's what I was kind of getting out of that story.
Which, if she
And
were
then
to
she-
quote unquote die, she could easily just.
That's what I'm saying.
like-
Die.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I was just telling Joe, it's like that. Hey, didn't Darth Vader kill Anakin Skywalker? Well, in storytelling, until like Luke, I'm your father.
Yeah.
Now, let me cut off your arm and we can sit there and join in our stories of arms being cut off.
Technically,
See?
Luke lost a hand.
See,
That's true.
we're similar.
And we're similar.
We have
Like
so much
father,
in common.
like son, Luke. We
no.
can rule the galaxy together. You don't need that black hoodie. Palpatine has a hoodie you can borrow.
Yeah.
We will take him out and
Don't
then
you
rule
look
the
great in
galaxy
this?
together.
But that's was his plan.
Yeah. Man, dude. I want a green lightsaber.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I thought the green lightsaber was the coolest looking coolest looking color lightsaber of the time. Is there something raining? Is that me? I hope
No.
not.
Yeah. What is that playing?
I think it's down there, isn't it? Because my volume's down and off.
That was mine.
It's weird.
It's very
There are, like,
strange.
Where's
ghosts
my
in here. There's been known to be downtown Glendale ghosts.
Well, it's Glendale. Everything's dead down here.
Gosh, dude.
Sorry.
Man, I want to believe the store's still alive down here.
Yours is, but
Yeah.
they're in some kind of research place.
That doesn't look like anything on. Where they say it was on Yavin? Where they say the
Yavin
Jedi
4,
Temple?
where they, or no, they
No,
didn't
this
say
is on,
where
this
they.
is on a. This is. I think this is on a.
That's not on Yavin as far as I know.
No, it's on Coruscant.
Isn't that one of the Emperor's chambers they're going to get into?
Well, that's the Senate.
Yeah, the Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go in.
So, Wikipedia writer, where'd they get that information from? There's the trees.
Yeah, yeah,
Two.
and then they run out. Luke starts handling stormtroopers like
And how
He's-
Luke knew about him, I'm not sure. But he got some intelligence.
because
Because he didn't even tell Shara what they were doing. It's like, we're going in to get something that's ours.
Yeah, because she even says like, what makes these so special? Don't let them drop. What's up, girl?
The wonderful Miss Michaela Brown, the daughter.
The daughter of the infamous Ken.
Yes, is here. You remember reading the story, Kayla?
Yes.
Shattered Empire? Tell me the facts, hon. Tell us so. Give us the 411.
It's a lot of thermal
The
detonators.
Jedi trees. What's the deal? Tell me about Shara Bray.
Oh, they returned to Yavin.
Yeah, Yavin 4 is where they planted the tree.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So those two took.
But it
one
did
for
say
sure.
that they got it from a
Yeah, they didn't
Jedi
get
temple.
it. Oh, they,
Yeah, that was
that,
weird.
I don't think that was from a Jedi temple. That was from Emperor's chambers. That's a little sneak peek at Princess Leia at the end there.
Yeah, I know. I flipped to it. I was like, well, I don't remember this story being in Shattered Empire. And then I realized I
Yeah.
didn't go far enough up.
That's the beautiful Terry Dotson's artwork.
Yeah, it is.
Dude's
Y
in
Wing's
Shadow.
the second worst plane you could have in Star Wars.
Oh, was it a Y-Wing? I thought she had an A-Wing.
She has an A-wing, but
Okay.
there's
Yeah,
a,
she-
there's a fleet of Y-wings.
Oh, dude, Y-Wings are horrible looking. I don't know how those things get over 50 miles per hour.
Well, you know,
Magic.
magic and space.
I'm going to do aerodynamics on those. I wouldn't want those in our Air Force.
Soon.
We need Y-Wings in the Air Force soon? See this guy. This guy,
Yeah.
I think he's a troll. I think he's trolling the rebellion. Because he's the one that convinces Shara to retire and go and raise a family with their husband away from all of the war or the post-war stuff that may be happening politically with the rebellion. But yet he hung around long enough to be part of Poe's squadron over the years.
Maybe you owed Poe.
Maybe.
Well,
Love the biker scouts. Those guys are so badass looking.
unless you get,
It looks
caught
like-
by a Wookiee.
That's true. But you know what that reminds me of? Remember the freeway camps
Yeah.
that sit on the freeway and take your picture when you're going too fast? That's totally a biker scout helmet. They took those.
Now
They
that you
took
mention
those
it,
off
yeah.
the biker scouts.
Yeah.
Put them on the freeway. I feel like I'm getting stopped by a speeder bike every time I pass one. So much fun.
Force action from Leia. See in the past. Naboo fighters. Ugh.
Yeah.
Almost as bad as cloud cars.
Oh, dude, cloud cars, man. Those are about as bad as like the grabber orange GTOs from the 1970s. No disrespect to GTO fans, but don't judge me, Pontiac judge. I get it. GTO.
So specific. That's funny.
Pretty terrible.
I get punny sometimes.
So is this guy.
What you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And they rolled deep right in there and take some trees. And Luke goes, like I said, goes all out for these kids.
So, here's my new theory now. After all this, now, is the Force an allergy from the tree pollen?
I don't know if it's an allergy.
Could be. You know, your body does strange things.
Allergies
like
are
when
terrible.
Yeah, but the Force could
It's a
be the
positive
good
allergy.
allergy.
It's a positive allergy.
Positive allergy.
I don't know if
You know, like you can control things. Like you make people choke. Isn't that like, you know, an allergy? You choke on things you're allergic to?
wouldn't you have to be around it all the time though?
Right? Well, Darth Vader's got the perfect, how would you say, mastery of this allergy called the Force, where he doesn't even have to be near you, and he uses the Force, and you start getting allergic reactions like choking and suffocating.
So
And I
having
bet
the
you he can
Force
cause the hives
can
on you.
cause
Yeah.
allergies then.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not an allergy.
That's if you know how to control the Force.
Otherwise you
know?
die.
You could start sneezing and not know the Force is what's causing that sneezing. But if you
Oh.
could master your Force allergy, like you can sit there and learn how to meditate and not let that sinus infection bug you.
A whole religion built around something that just you can take an antihistamine and just
Exactly, dude.
But this is in a
fix
time
yourself.
long ago in a place far, far away.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
wasn't discovered yet.
We have medical droids. We
Yeah.
don't have.
We can rebuild
anti-allergies.
we can make
Well-
prosthetic hands.
Yeah.
The whole healing process was dipping you in water for 14 hours, and you felt better afterwards.
That's-
All right, Luke
yeah.
Skywalker was put in a water tank.
So they have the
until he felt
technology
better.
of
Well, I
What
mean,
can we do? Put him in hot water. He'll feel better in about 14 hours.
the thing that was to recuperate him a little faster because like he was kind of beat up.
The back. Exactly.
He had like glass cuts and missing a hand. A little bit of wind burn from hanging down off that reverse satellite off of Cloud City.
Nothing boiling water won't disinfect for you.
That's what I'm saying.
The Starship Troopers in the same universe as Star Wars.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Much, yes,
yeah.
dude.
I mean, that's where they
They
got it
both have
from.
the same technology.
Yeah.
As long as you're talking about the movie.
Yeah, I'm talking about the movie. Yeah, not the book or anything.
Book, they just let you die. They're just like,
Exactly.
like, oh no, you're gonna die.
You got a paper cut? No,
Yep.
he's dead.
Thank God those roaches didn't land on Earth. Good God, it was bad if we got the small roaches. Those giant freaking eucalyptus roaches flying over hills.
Those are the small ones.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Stay.
I'm
Like,
glad
wow.
that egg didn't find its way to Earth.
Well, it got worse.
Man, dude, Starship Troopers. Those guys are scary.
Oh yeah.
I don't like those aliens. Do not like swarms of roaches coming over hills.
They're doing a sequel, right?
Are they finally?
They're
Yeah.
doing a CG sequel.
CG sequel.
Oh,
Yeah.
CGI?
Yep. It looks really good.
Is it gonna have humans in it, or everybody gonna be CGI?
It's all CGI, the whole thing,
Okay.
just like Pixar style.
That's cool.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully not Pixar style. That'd
Well,
be
I
really
mean, not Pixar style, but fully CG'd.
So it's gonna be a CGI Denise Richards in it?
No, but they did at the end of the trailer. They
Yeah.
They say Dez.
Des.
Oh, Des is gonna be it then?
And
That's
all you
cool.
see is
she
like
died.
Yeah.
a hand and stuff. So I'm like, it's like I said, it's like a sequel, but like a prequel in a way too, because it's like takes place
Weekend
during
Weekend at Dez's.
one. Yeah, I guess I don't know.
It's like
no,
the Lost Stories. We get it Des's.
there's no weekend and Des not half a body.
It's like dragging around. Oh, look, she's still fine.
No, she's fine. Look.
They're with the aliens.
She's very
Ignore-
active.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gross.
gosh, dude. That reminds me of like the Flintstones Booster Gold crossover. Did you read that?
No.
No, I didn't even know that.
Oh my
happened.
gosh,
That's
dude.
awful.
It is awful.
Yeah. No, I refused.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Wacky
Booster-
Racers was good, but the rest of the stuff looked terrible.
Yeah, Booster Gold accidentally killed the alien race that's arrived back in Bedrock because he went back in time to try to stop the invasion of this race in the future.
Okay.
And when he lands his time machine, he kills the leader of the race of aliens that were ticked off at them in his future. And good old Booster Gold takes the body to the future, pretends that it's like a little meat puppet, and tries to, please stop attacking Earth. And the head falls off, and it's just a nightmare waiting to happen. Booster Gold, most unfortunate DC character in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can't save anything nor help anything to save his life. But he's got a Legion ring. You got a Legion ring, you're supposed to save somebody. Booster's still trying to figure out who he's trying to save and how he's going to do it.
I would say he probably needs to save himself
Right?
Exactly.
from himself.
And it all was from gambling on football. That's like the worst karma to hang around with you forever.
Gambling's bad,
Gambling
man.
on your own college football games ruins your life. Just ask Arch Leister. Let's throw out an old name there for you.
Yeah, I have no clue who that is.
Ohio State quarterback that was in prison because he had a gambling problem.
All right.
Drafted by the the Baltimore Colts back in the day.
Jeez.
Got sent to prison his first season.
Like back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, Pete Rose is still free on the street.
Well, it's baseball. It's totally different.
That's true.
America's sport.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Peter.
America's sport.
You just don't get in the Hall of Fame, but you can run around and do all you want.
It's true. So the title of the CG movie is called Starship Troopers: Traitor of Mars. It actually features the voice acting capabilities of Casper Van Dien and Dina Meyer.
That's
So
cool.
the people, obviously, Rico and Dez.
That's awesome.
It doesn't say. I mean, obviously, it takes place before the end of the first movie. Because spoiler alert,
Everybody dies?
Dez dies in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
That way, she didn't have to be in those god awful sequels.
man. She got the good end of the stick on that one.
Can I remember that or not? She suffered pretty badly. Like the little thing bit her, and she's like, yeah, and then like
What?
ripped in half. Like,
She didn't have to be in the sequels. That's like one of the best rewards ever.
Well,
yeah, but I'd rather be alive.
Yeah. Maybe the sequel would have been better if she was in it, right?
maybe.
The second one was terrible,
That's what I'm saying. Could
Second
she
one's so
save that
terrible.
movie?
dude.
She got her box office payout for being a successful one.
Not making that movie would
then
have
not
been
have that.
better.
Then not have that attached to her name for the rest of her career. I was in Starship Troopers too. Weren't you?
Did she do anything?
Was that her
after this
tagline
movie?
after that?
She was in a bunch of stuff,
Was she in a bunch of stuff?
TV shows and
Okay.
stuff.
I think her mistake was, didn't she marry George Clooney or something like that? No, who'd she marry for a while?
I don't know, would that be a mistake to marry George Clooney? Married an Italian princess.
That's true. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, who was it that she married that kind of was a little bit screwed in the head?
Anybody in Hollywood?
That's true.
I mean, that's not a far stretch.
Yeah. Was one of Charlie Sheen's many wives.
Oh, that was what's her face. So this is what it's like
Oh, that looks awesome.
right?
Wow.
Looks
Yeah.
better than the original.
Yeah.
Wow. That looks unbelievable, dude. That's what Halo should look
They
like.
actually have their battle armor like they're supposed to have.
Wow.
So he has an eye patch. So I'm not too sure when this takes place,
Nick Fury got the movie?
but that's
Right.
Rico
That's
right there.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
That looks great, dude. I gotta say, that is some sick animation.
Yep.
Or CGI.
It looks fantastic.
That's how Halo should look if they get a movie out. Is there ever gonna be a Halo movie, or are we just like dreaming still?
Dreaming still.
Dreaming still. Yeah.
That's like a property that is destined to be a movie, but what are they waiting for?
Not a budget, not to be
Yeah.
way too
super
expensive. So back in the day, Peter Jackson got with Microsoft, and I can't remember who it was, the main company that was going to do it, but they were going to get together to do it. Well, the budget that set out to do was $150 million. The budget to make the movie.
They think they'd make that back in the box office?
That's not the problem. So they were gung-ho. Then they started early pre-production, getting script in line, getting people, doing tests to how much it would cost, and the budget ended up ballooning to over $300 million.
Wow.
So they
doubled
said-
up over budget.
We're gonna call quits on this. So just everyone go
But
home.
300 million is still not that much in the big picture of things. Don't you think
Yeah,
you make
but-
300 million
but
after
see-
DVD sales and video game tie-in stuff? and all
Name
this
one
stuff?
good video game adaptation that came in a movie. Don't worry, I'll give you your time.
Okay, Resident Evil,
No,
Tomb
those are
Raider?
terrible movies.
but they still made money.
No, not enough.
Really, Resident Evil or Tomb Raider? They went like 3 or 4 movies of Resident Evil, didn't they?
Resident Evil went 5 movies, and
Yeah.
they still didn't get it right. Fans of the franchise still don't like those movies.
But they made money at the box
They
office
made-
to keep on
they
going
did
more.
make money
Yeah,
at
but
the
that
box
means
office,
they're
yes.
but they strayed away from the concept. So if you did that with Halo, do you want to stray away from the content? Because then you're not doing what the fans
Well,
want.
that's kind of happened with X-Men, and they've done like 6 movies.
Yeah, but look at what the X-Men series did.
I know, but they keep on making more because people go see them.
Yeah, because that's why we have Fast and Furious movies still.
Yeah, they're not good, but people go see them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Ken. Name one good video game to movie adaptation.
but that's
Name
the
a
thing,
good
though.
one.
People don't expect them to be good. They just want to go see them.
Yeah, but
Like
fans,
Doom.
but
Like,
fans
was
want.
Doom any good?
No,
Yeah, I said The Rock. That's like his one flop, right? Well, about 50
No.
No,
flops.
that wasn't.
no.
Is-
Have
is-
you ever
is-
seen
like,
Tooth Fairy?
Isn't Doom right up there
Game
with
Plan?
Tooth Fairy? Tooth
yeah,
Fairy? Yeah.
I'd rather watch Doom.
Yeah, dude.
He's Carl Urban's in that.
That's true.
But gosh, dude, there's hasn't been one about Ghost in the Shell. That's not a video game. That's a manga.
Yeah, it was manga.
My apologies.
And that
Getting
dude
off-
actually didn't do that
Alone
well.
in the Dark. I
What?
didn't see it, but I
What is it?
remember.
No, Alone in the Dark was terrible.
Was that terrible?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to
Let's
remember.
see, dude.
I heard Max Payne was terrible.
Max Payne was terrible.
Wing Commander.
Wing Commander was terrible.
That's a guilty pleasure of mine. So
We've watched that on Torture
Silent
Theater.
Hill.
Silent
Silent
Hill,
Hill.
but it didn't do
Silent
well.
Hill. Didn't
What?
do well.
It didn't do well.
But it was a good movie.
I loved the first one. Second one was terrible.
Okay.
Jon Snow ruined that.
How come there's been a Metal Gear movie?
Because dude doesn't want to make a movie out of it.
Yeah, dude.
You can't tell me you didn't like Mario Brothers.
Oh, I can definitely tell you didn't like Mario Bros. I can play you the episode where we watched it
I know.
and literally forgot how terrible that movie actually was.
And is there no way to make a Final Fantasy live action movie?
No, they tried CG. Those ones were decent, but they again went away so far away from the actual content. People were like, "This isn't. How can you call this Final Fantasy? Like,
Yeah.
it's so different."
It's because there's like 26 different levels per game type of thing.
Well,
to
yeah,
get into a 2-hour
and that's the
movie.
problem is with the length of a video game compared to the actual story in a video game is drastically different. You play 26 hours of Final Fantasy, the story is 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That's
it's hard.
true.
Now you have to stretch a 15-minute long plot for 2 hours, or hour and a half to 2 hours.
Too much
and
dialogue.
Just, yeah, you have to make it up. That's the thing. And the same with any with Mario Brothers. Like there's no plot for Mario Brothers.
Now,
Like not one you can make a movie out of. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like
yes, you can't really do Mario Bros. They're like maybe
Yeah.
a TV show or cartoon for about.
yeah, just because
30
all you
minutes
do
at
is
a
like
time.
have the adventures of Mario. There's no real plot to it. You can't really build a.
You've got
anything off
plumbing
of it.
problems. Mario's here to save the day.
It's like come on, like
Yeah, right.
you know, like so like
You have crocodiles in your sewers. Mario will be here to save you.
I mean, they're turtles technically.
I know, say like that. Just new story plots. You know, if they're gonna do seasons of this, you gotta get some new animals down those sewers.
I mean,
Killer bunnies. Mario will be there for
Pokemon.
you.
what about it?
Pokemon.
Pokemon
about it?
movie.
Game. Movie.
Technically, cartoon series first, then video game.
Yeah.
The best video game concept movie that wasn't a video game, I thought, was Sucker Punch,
Yeah,
because that felt like a video game when you were watching it.
yeah, or Wreck-It Ralph,
Yeah.
because that technically was video games.
What was the one with the Pac-Man cars?
Oh, that was the one
Adam
with
Sandler movie?
Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually was really funny.
That was a fun movie to watch.
I enjoyed that movie a lot.
I thought I would hate that movie, but that was one of the better movies
I didn't see it in theaters because the trailers looked terrible.
Well, unfortunately, I did go see it in the theater.
Pixels.
Pixels,
Yeah,
that's it.
Pixels.
what it was.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Crazy. It was one of the last movies I watched with my dad.
Pixels.
Yeah.
That was Prince of Persia the movie. I never saw it.
I enjoyed it, but again, it didn't do well because
well?
it's it's one of those period pieces where like doesn't really do well if it's like action. And I said period pieces again, I know. But again, no blood. What's up?
Oh, jeez.
Right? Right? That was a joke from
Yeah,
earlier
feel
today.
here?
I feel bad I even said that again. But no, it's one of those things where it's like it's action and people are just like, it's so. The diehard fans of the series were like, I guess it was okay, but it was so, again, different. I mean, I don't know what they expect. These people never have any issues.
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds movie.
Angry Birds actually was really funny and super dirty. Have you ever seen that movie?
It did $349 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Box office.
Yeah. I
So
would say
that
that's
was
definitely.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That was successful.
Yeah, that's like about the cost they spent on Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's Angry Birds. I mean, you get, okay, I'm going to go see Halo. I'm going to say Angry Birds. I would say 99.9 of the 100 people want to go see Halo before going to see Angry Birds.
I would.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
the
guys,
But I
here's
did
your
watch
choice.
Angry Birds, and Angry Birds was pretty funny.
Yeah, Angry Birds was hilarious.
Warcraft made 433
Oh, World of Warcraft.
I loved Warcraft.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
that's a good
Warcraft
one
was
right there,
fantastic.
too.
But that was, if I'm reading this right, Rotten Tomatoes was a 28%.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
they always do terrible when it comes to their ratings, and that's
That
again,
stinks.
the press is what studios look at before they actually look at money and fanfare.
Yeah,
So
that's
Angry
horrible.
Birds had a 44%. It looks like the next one is Resident Evil: The Final Chapter had a 35% rating, and that one
End
took
of the
in
series.
312 million.
So there'll be another $300 million movie.
Yeah.
Because if they pay for themselves, that's what they want to see, and then hope they build up that
Well,
audience.
you need to double your budget.
They'll double your budget on them.
That's usually what happens. How do you get it? How you get a sequel? And with Resident Evil,
So
they
Transformers
kept
keep
going
on
down.
doubling their budgets.
Well, I mean, granted, yes, the last one didn't do as well as they're hoping, but it still did more than what it needed to.
I don't know what to think about this new one. Speaking of Transformers, I mean, Optimus
We-
Prime being an infected bad guy. What's going on? You get hit, like bit by the Crimson, or what is going on there?
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just it's one of those things where like
Crimson.
you can't base this on anything else because at this point they're just like, oh, another thing where you like where Cybertron's coming to where Earth's at. I'm like, we just did
just
this.
did it,
Like,
yeah.
2 movies ago, we did the exact same thing.
And it's another movie where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, there's this old band of Transformers that have been here for ages. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
so
think that
like
we looked at that red stick that wiped our minds, and Shia LaBeouf never appeared
Yeah.
in Transformers movies, or
I would have thought we were better off without Shia LaBeouf in those movies, but Mark Wahlberg is terrible in those movies. I don't know what I don't know. Like in the first movie he was in, so the last one, he didn't like. He just makes me so mad. And then like they build up this like strong female character, and then she gets a boyfriend, and she becomes the damsel in distress.
yeah,
I'm like, all right, well that makes
going
no
on
sense. And in this movie, he's got Michael Bay hair,
yes.
and he's like shooting guns and. I don't know. It was. I'm like, you need to not focus on the squishy people and more on the giant robots.
And why does Michael Bay have this fetish with Megan Fox looking girls? Is there?
It's
I understand
because- yeah.
it's Megan Fox looking girls, but at the same time, it's like
Because
does
people
everybody
wanna
in the
see that?
Transformers universe look like Megan Fox that have to be the co-star type of
Well,
thing?
if you want people to buy tickets, you have pretty girls.
Yeah, but isn't there like a diversity? Like, isn't there like a blonde or redhead that shows up in these movies at all?
There's a
Do they
blonde
have
on the
to-
last one.
Wasn't she like
Yeah.
a like
His
a,
daughter was blonde.
like a bleach blonde though?
No,
No.
Just natural blonde in that one? Okay, so I thought she looked very Megan Foxish.
no,
Oh,
not at
no.
all. I mean, she was young and
young,
attractive and had
attractive.
hair, and she was a female. So in those
Yeah.
cases, yes, she looked
She was-
amazing.
she was pretty, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's no Jennifer's body.
Right? Wasn't this the? Isn't this the next movie that all those like?
No, it's not.
No, that's not.
No, that's not this movie. So last year, they was announced they're building a writers team for future Transformers movies, and Robert Kirkman is on that.
Right?
team.
Kirkman's gonna be on this?
Yeah.
Is
Not-
that for real? Like not
well,
like some guy with the name Bob
No.
Kirkman? And
He
calls
even
himself
he even
Robert?
officially put it on his Twitter. He's like,
Wow.
"Hey guys, I'm gonna start writing Transformers movies." We're like,
Because I'm bored. What's his
yeah,
reasoning?
what else are you gonna
Right.
do?
He's doing Outcast, Walking Dead TV series.
He's
Most
come
of
on,
the
man.
producers on
He
that
doesn't.
stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't. Right, he doesn't like actually write the TV show anymore.
Wow. To do Transformers movies. He must really be a big Transformers fan. I didn't know he was that big of a Transformers fan.
Yeah.
Can he do G.I. Joe instead?
No, because look how good those did.
That's what I'm saying. He needs to save them. Transformers, at least has got something going for it.
They need to make GI Joe a war movie.
Yes. Like, why don't you have, like, you can see, like, him writing Duke like he's Rick?
Well, did you ever watch the Warren Ellis animated one? Warren Ellis wrote an animated
Yes, dude,
G.I.
that was
Joe.
Yeah,
epic.
dude,
that
that
was
was
the
epic.
best stuff.
That's what it needs to be.
Snake Eyes blowing up Cobras on bridges and stuff like that? Or on those
Dr.
docks?
Mindbender showing up dead with his
Yeah.
mouth
Yeah.
stuffed with a note on the pit, which was the
Was that
airship.
G.I. Joe Resolute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
freaking awesome. It was my favorite
Yeah.
G.I. Joe
Yeah,
stuff since
it's
the original
amazing.
cartoons.
And I thought
Yeah.
they were coming back with that, and nope, just that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like so disappointing. Then they
I think it
actually,
was too violent for kids. They didn't like it after that point. Going, dude, that's like, let's have it aimed towards us.
yeah,
Well, that's who grew up with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're mature. We want that
Call it a
nostalgia.
PG-13
Yeah.
G.I. Joe. That's what
Yeah.
that's what we want to watch. Have
When
the
we
other
had this
kids
discussion
watch it.
earlier,
Sigma
like
6,
it's
go target the
it's
kids.
so easy
Yeah.
to get a PG-13 rating now on something, other than just not having really bad words in it or someone's guts spilling
spill
out
out.
or
Yeah.
genitalia. You can get a PG-13. Wonder Woman,
Yeah, Wonder Woman did
murdered
that.
people on camera
Yeah.
with a
PG-13.
sword.
yeah.
PG-13. Have you seen the new Pirates movie?
No, it's a
Dude,
ludicrous thing.
literally people getting gutted
Mm-hmm.
on screen, but you
So
don't see
PG-13?
blood. PG-13.
because it's like black oil looking.
No, because they just don't show it.
There-
So
there
it's
was
just
one-
like
at
a
one point,
camera
the
angle
first-
off, and you're like,
The
"Ugh."
first time a ship gets attacked by the ghost pirates, the main character is in, not Jack Sparrow, but the other main character for this one is in a prison cell in the hull of the boat, and visual blood is dripping down. He puts his hand out, and you see red blood hit his hand.
Wow,
That is blood on camera.
that's PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get PG-13 rating now. You could easily do a Saving Private Ryan war movie
And have
style thing,
PG-13.
PG-13, called G.I. Joe.
That'd be awesome.
Easily
That's a
do it. Easily.
Yeah, because I said too, like I'm a huge GI Joe nut. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't mind the first two ones, even with The Rock and
I didn't
Oh, dude.
either.
Yeah, Bruce Willis was good in the second one. Even I mean, it's maybe I'm just like too simple because I see GI Joe on film and I want to see like Ray Park in a Snake Eyes outfit.
Of course.
Right.
You know, just more or less taking
As
out
long as they don't
everything
have
in sight.
A
plastic
on it,
mouth.
yeah.
I mean, it did bother me that he was wearing like a snowsuit, wearing like snow jobs, white, little looking get up without the skis, and just kind of going on a little snow sled thing and going into the middle of the ice rock.
If you let GI Joe go too far, they always have their fun little vehicles and outfits.
Yeah.
Just like Batman has weird outfits all the time and
That's the
toys.
fun part about GI Joe, though, too, is all these things you don't see in the military because
Yeah.
it's all top secret.
It's all fantastical stuff, yeah.
But if they could get like a real hardcore, well-written GI Joe, dude, those characters all have personalities.
Yeah.
And they're like the X-Men, the Avengers, just like Walking Dead character crews. I mean, anything that's a good core character, if you get the right writers, they could have a
Could be
franchise.
fantastic, yeah.
But it's a kids' cartoon, and we don't want to really promote kids' cartoons focused on war.
Well, I mean, you can do it a smart way and, bring it out. I mean, I don't know. It's those things like you look at them, you're like, it can't be that difficult to bring him to screen.
No, Snake Eyes origin movie with Zartan and Firefly and Storm Shadow.
Like it shouldn't be that hard. Like,
yeah, that'd be a great movie.
But it's just they bring it out and it's like it is goofy and you're like it just because they're like, well, the cartoon was goofy. I'm like, the cartoon was made to sell toys.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can bring that into a serious thing and all it really is, it's a war movie with the names of the characters from the cartoon. That's all it has to be.
Dude, Deadpool was created to be goofy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's one of their most successful superhero movies.
And look what happens. You come out.
And it was rated R.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, let's set a precedent for Wolverine being a rated R
Well,
movie.
I mean, look what they
Yeah.
did. They took like Fox is really good at it. They take things and they just take a name and they're just like, oh, fans like Venom, right? So we'll make a Venom. And then that Venom that we see on screen was terrible.
Yeah. If they made Venom a rated R movie, I hate saying it, that would be freaking badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, nowadays, you don't even have to have it make it rated R.
Carnage. Oh my gosh, dude. Like
'Cause
an
if
Aliens
it's-
versus Predator movie would be like Venom versus Carnage.
Like, you don't... It wouldn't even have to be... It would actually be not rated R unless he eviscerated someone on screen.
Carnage would do that, though.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying with Venom, if he eats somebody... It would
not
be all
technically rated
internal.
R,
It wouldn't
yes.
be him unless he pulls them apart and starts doing this, which is not a Venom way.
It's
It's
like he engulfs
yeah.
them.
You could easily get away with it not being rated R. But the problem is, you're coming to the point where if you make a Venom movie, are you going to introduce him as an anti-hero or a villain? Because it's really hard to sell a movie with just a villain.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the anti-hero. I don't know who the villain will be in that first movie.
That's what I'm saying.
And I don't know if that means Carnage right away or it means something else. That's like kind of a, someone that's got a big sonic gun because that's what fire and sonics is what affects Venom.
Yeah.
Excuse me, as I
So and that's what I'm saying. It's like it's
get
hard
bothered
to.
by force allergies.
Vader heard you talking shit about his force.
Sorry, Vader, my allergies are out of control.
Yep.
Please don't choke.
Nose run.
Yep. He's like, I'll get him.
God, dude, that little 14-inch Vader is still tough
Yep.
enough to give me allergy problems.
Yep. See,
over
there you go.
He's watching you.
You talk
You
about
guys,
shit about Vader in the Force, and guess what?
Yeah, since we're on speaker and not on video, we got this like 16-inch Darth Vader like staring us down from over here in the corner on the top of the glass case.
He is staring directly at us, which is unnerving.
Sorry, Vader. If you could talk, you could be on this podcast. But right now, the Force has you choked up. Ha ha! We got you, Vader. Sorry, man. Just had to
That
call
was
it Vader.
terrible.
Terrible. That's terrible.
Terrible.
Told you, I got bad punnies tonight.
I don't know if it was just tonight. But yeah, no. I mean, I always thought
Thank
like
you, my daughter just turned him the opposite direction. That way he can go torment
Silk
over there.
Spectre
Silk
too?
Spectre,
Silk
over there,
Spectre,
the
yeah.
Watchmen setup we have in here.
you have a lot of people who could be borderline villains in this room. By the way,
Yeah, Black Adam's looking kind of a little bit vicious right now too.
And then there's Joker behind us.
with a knife.
Yeah.
That's unsettling.
Well, I call that store security up here. If you
Yeah?
got like scary looking things up here, you may think twice before putting it in your pocket.
And all these eyes on you. No, I mean, there's a lot of things though. Like Joe and I often have this talk about books being turned into movies and how they're not the greatest because it's really hard to take the essence of a book that is so long and so in depth and make it an hour and a half and 2 hours and keep what everyone likes about it. And that's why things like a Game of Thrones works really well as a TV show.
Yes.
Because you can
Spread it out.
that those plots out, so you build it and like you do in a book from chapter to chapter. And there's books out there you can easily make into a movie. It's not a problem. Jurassic Park, for example, easily can be made into a book, into a movie.
The James Bond franchises were books first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's things like that. But when you come to like content like Star Wars, there's so much that goes into a Star Wars movie. That's why it spills out into comic books and all these other books, because there's so much. Instead of just trying to do it all in one, like there's a reason there was an expanded universe before expanded universes were a thing, because people were like, "Yo, like we have all these ideas like we could do from these characters and things like that." But like with G.I. Joe and other content like that, like I'll even use He-Man as an example too. You can write a story that doesn't have a beginning or an end that takes place in that universe. You don't have to have an end and a beginning to do it.
Yes, you can kind of just have it develop.
They
and
could
grow.
they could be an existing thing already, and it's just a capsulated adventure of the G.I. Joes at that one point, and then
Dude, G.I.
later
Joe
on.
would work perfect as a Netflix or a Hulu show.
of course it would. I mean,
I mean,
because
you
it's
could
like
develop the
it's just
whole
making
Cobra
live action.
Commander
Yeah,
like that. I would love to see the early days of Cobra Rising.
Yeah,
They like
like,
gloss over that so fast inside the movies. Oh, Cobra Commander was,
Yeah.
left behind by Duke in this whole blowing up thing because
Yeah.
he felt butthurt because Duke didn't come back and check that he was okay.
even though technically
So
he
I'll
should have
become
mind
a
bender,
Cobra,
but that's right.
Cobra
yeah.
terrorist. Yeah, dude. And
Yeah.
it was just
So I mean, that's what I mean. Is like it could easily be more than what they make, but it's they rush to get it put together, and it's like, well, we get all these big stars who want a paycheck, and then we'll just put it together and we expect it to work. And it's like you watch it, it's like,
yeah.
it was fun, but like you didn't catch any of what I loved about
Yeah.
the show.
Yep,
I
there
mean,
was
even
the
like the
concept.
GI Joe movie with like Serpentor and all that stuff, like that was
Oh,
deep.
that was awesome.
Like you
Yes.
can't tell me that didn't. That wasn't.
Globulus was the lamest cool villain I think I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
like it was had so
From
much
the
to
animated
it.
one, right? You're talking about?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, like so much to it, and then
Dude,
it
Don
brings
Johnson playing Lieutenant Falcon was like Duke's nephew. No, Flint's nephew. Was it Duke's
like
nephew? Flint.
Duke's Neft. Duke.
Was it Hawks, Dukes, or Flint's? I'm trying to remember.
I
That
can't
was
remember,
one of the
yeah. It's
major,
been a
one of
while.
the
Yeah.
top three's nephew.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and you
Or
have
cousin
that,
or whatever, something like
and
that.
like I even said like after I think the second Transformers movie, if they just take Transformers the movie and make it live action,
Oh, that'd be
well,
intense.
live action, I air
Yeah.
quotes, because I mean most of that takes place in space with giant robots. But you have the human element because you have Spike and his kid.
Yes, you got Hot Rod. The,
Yeah.
the spunky.
Yeah, which, by the way,
Autobot
he's in the new
future.
movie.
Is he going to be in the
Yeah.
new movie? Wow.
Which I have a feeling they're gonna kill Prime in this.
Wow.
And
And
he's
Hot
gonna
Rod
become-
become Rodimus?
Yeah, because there was a thing on, I think it was IMDb, where the voice actor was credited as being Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime.
Now I got a question. Why do they keep on changing the names on the toys? Like
To sell more
Rodimus
toys?
Major? Like Rodimus Prime is Rodimus Major,
More
right?
to-
Sell toys.
Is that
If
it?
you have a
Is that- it's
variant
like
cover,
the-
what happens?
But Rodimus Major, is that before he's Prime? Or is that
Well,
Hot
no, because
Rod? Like that's
in the
a-
books, Prime Optimus is back, so he's not a Prime anymore.
So that's why he becomes Rodimus Major then?
I'm guessing.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of like the whole digression of like why they change the names of the characters
Because
sometimes.
I mean, at one point they can. I mean,
Yes, that's true.
It's I mean, why sell a Snake Eyes snow outfit toy?
So it's kind of like Carol Danvers being Binnery and Miss Marvel and
Yeah,
then
it's
Captain
just the
Marvel.
thing.
It's still
Yeah.
Carol Danvers. It's just we're taking on some different
Yeah.
egos at this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's like wrestlers. They
Yeah.
have different names throughout their careers
That's
just to
true.
sell more tickets.
Oh, I just wondered about that whole thing too. Is like that because there was a time like that. Jazz was called Meister inside of the Transformers toy line. I don't know. Like, did they lose the rights to the name Jazz, or they just decided to change his name to Meister because
Jazz 2 General
maybe
wasn't poppy enough.
it wasn't popping enough. Meister. Hey, look, this Jazz guy's now Meister.
Meister. Fair enough.
But random side plot. My apologies. Let's go on Transformers there for a second.
Hey, doesn't
This
matter.
is what happens.
Hasbro. All right. What other Hasbro property we want to see made into a movie?
Hasbro has they have so much potential to make, even like if it was just like like Netflix or like Hulu stuff, and just make
Dude.
millions of dollars.
They could. Mask would be a fun
Yeah.
franchise to see
Yeah.
made into a TV series.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like that. If you got good characters that are strong, lead characters, a villain and a good guy's crew, you can look at Sons of Anarchy. I mean, Sons of Anarchy's without the transforming types of vehicles feels a lot like Mask.
in a way.
Do
I
you
mean,
know
they're
what I
bad
mean?
guys, but you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like that, just the same type of formula though. A group of characters that each have their unique place
Problems.
inside of their team.
Yeah.
Like almost like an Avengers type of thing. If you get the right group of people together, people will follow, want to see what's going on. Matt
Yeah.
Tracker, what's called Matt Tracker? Oh man,
It's all about building something people can grab onto with the exterior of whatever property it is you want. That's all it is. I mean, that's exactly what Marvel did. I mean, literally, we've talked about this before on the show, but Marvel took the characters nobody cared about and built their universe on top of it.
Yeah,
Nobody cared about Thor.
No.
Nobody cared about Captain America.
No.
Like, they were dead for the most part. Iron Man, like...
It's all
how-
about X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That
so
was
like,
Marvel's comic universe.
So they're like, hey, like we don't have the access to these, so why don't we just have what we have, and we'll just get people who are passionate about it, and we'll build on this, and we'll build this big plan, and we'll start off. If Iron Man failed to be a good movie,
That would have been it.
that would have been it.
Yep.
They'd be like, all right, well, we're done. Like,
Yeah, thanks for
You
trying.
know,
Thanks
yeah.
for coming.
but they believe they wanted to make that because like Iron Man himself, that character needed what they did in that movie to be that flawed type of character, but there was depth to it. There's a character they can work with, and then they put him against Captain America, who's this altruistic, Boy Scout, and they would butt heads, but they're both working for the same goal, and there's your plot. You know what I mean?
Well, the beauty of Iron Man 2, I think, really helped as well, is they looked at what the comic fans liked. They didn't
Yeah.
try to redesign Iron Man to make him look a totally bulky, different type of Iron Man that was just called Iron Man by name only. They took Adi Granov, one of the best-looking Iron Man
Yeah.
artists of all time, and they more or less cloned his
Yeah.
armor onto the screen. And Robert Downey Jr. is a Tony Stark. You feel like, as a comic fan, you can relate to came off of the page.
Yeah.
As this guy is Tony Stark.
Like, that's
not
like Patrick Stewart
David
was
Hasselhoff playing Nick Fury. Or
was
anything
Charles
like that.
Xavier.
Yeah.
Patrick
Yes.
was easy Charles Xavier.
And I think they learned a lot from that with Patrick Stewart.
Because they
and
could
Charles
do that.
Xavier.
I mean, we've said this before on the show too. Is like if you would have told me after Iron Man 1 ended that Robert Redford would have been on camera saying "Hail Hydra," I'd have slapped you in the face and called you crazy.
Yes.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But it worked.
Yeah, like Robert Downey Jr. was like on a downside of his career
Yes.
when he was Iron Man, and now he's one of the most recognizable people in all of the world.
Yep.
And it's like
And what made
he
that
plays
happen?
a
It
dude.
wasn't.
He plays a douche in a metal outfit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous.
But Iron Man's the one that carried him back to fame.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
it's like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine, dude. Did anybody
Hugh
really
Jackman's-
follow Hugh Jackman's career before Wolverine?
Not unless you went to plays in Australia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like these iconic characters are giving careers
Yeah.
to actors that were on the downside of their careers,
Yeah,
or giving them.
it's because the comic books have had so much time to build those characters and develop into real. What's the thing about most people don't realize about comic books is like they're actual literature.
Yes.
Their characters are as real as anything you could possibly imagine.
Yep.
Yes, they have funny powers and do random weird crazy stuff, but they are real characters. They have depth to them. They have history. They have emotion and feelings. If you can get that on the screen without just having the goofy outfits, X-Men, then you can have a legitimate movie franchise.
Yes.
And that's why Marvel is so many movies deep in the last 10 something years, and they're not thinking about rebooting. They're thinking of how else we can expand this. And X-Men is now getting ready to do their third reboot of their franchise in the same amount of time.
And how is it that Marvel people that act in Marvel movies turn into be like more or less superstars, as we're talking about? But then at the same time, Star Wars actors, after they're done with Star Wars, only one has been super successful, and that's Harrison Ford.
Well, that's because sci-fi back in the day, has a worse connotation.
Okay.
Like if you're in a sci-fi movie, it's like being a smut film.
Like Hayden Christensen in the modern
Well,
films.
that's because Hayden Christensen's a terrible actor.
Okay.
That's no one's fault except for George Lucas because he has a terrible eye.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Hamill's even said it.
Yes.
Mark Hamill's like, I'm not that great on camera. I'm great with my voice and emotion, but I'm never great
On
physically on camera. And it took all of his effort to do what he did as Luke. But when you see him in other things, one of my favorite movies, Guyver, he's terrible. That movie is not good.
So I'm saying like that. There's just never does he not
Because
just,
they were cheap.
okay. I was gonna
It's
say,
cheap
like,
to
other
get
cheap
those people
actors.
because, like, Carrie Fisher, what did she do before Star Wars?
Not that I know of. She's Debbie Reynolds' daughter. That's about
Right?
it. Yeah.
There you go. So, she, again, if you've seen her in other things, not the best actress. No offense to Carrie Fisher. I love Carrie Fisher. She's amazing as Princess Leia, but really not a great actress. Harrison Ford, I love Harrison Ford, but he's the same person in every single movie. Just either with a gun and a whip, or just a whip, or
Yes.
just a gun. You know what I mean? Like, it's not,
That's not
he's
too
not,
much
he doesn't
to
have
him.
range.
Not
He's
if those
either
movies
chasing
don't.
an armless man or he's whipping some slave guy. You know what I mean? It's like, he's good at what he does, but he doesn't do a whole lot. Like Harrison Ford hasn't had a Robert Downey Jr.'s type-esque career.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like Robert Downey had like a body of work.
Yeah,
beforehand, too.
he had way more work before, and if it wasn't just the fact that he has that charismaticness to him, he wouldn't have been where he was at.
But these like other actors, like Chris Hemsworth, he's been a good actor in other movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. Obviously, Chris Pratt has been a good actor in.
That's
multiple
that's
movies.
because Marvel thought. I think I can't speak for what they actually thought, but I'm thinking their thought process was, "Hey, why don't we go after people who are good
Yeah, Fem Jeskin.
and just put them in?"
I'm sorry, not Fem Jeskin. Scarlett Johansson. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Jean Grey mixed up the other redhead. Dude, my apologies.
Like you take them, like, "Hey, we just have like no one ever thought you could have a Robert Redford, in there. You could never thought a Glenn Close."
So it
would
kind
be
of
in
like
there.
once again bounces back to the X-Men studying that prototype of let's get
Yeah.
good actors. I guess even further back with Blade with getting Wesley Snipes.
Because he fit it.
To
Like
play
that's the
Blade,
thing is like,
yes.
he fit that role. And Wesley Snipes has never been a great actor. He's a great action star,
But he fits Blade. That's
but he
what
fits
is.
Blade because
Yeah.
that's what Blade is. That's what they did. They went through it. So Marvel went through and said, "Hey, like they've literally nailed every single time they've gone to get somebody. They're like,
And they're not like A-listers at the top of their industry.
No.
They're like
Now-
like
now they are.
B-listers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now-
but,
I mean,
but
now
that's
they
what
can get
kept
anybody
it
they want.
going. Like Chris Evans, for instance, too. I mean,
Yeah.
what was he in like that?
Fantastic Four, what's up?"
Yes, that's right. Fantastic Four and not another teen movie.
Yeah.
Do you mean those are the only two movies
Yeah.
that you remember Chris Evans being from?
But it's obviously they bring him in. They don't just give him the role. They give him an audition, like, "Yo, like
and
show
that
us what
kid
you
can
can
act
do."
because in all three movies he was a different character.
Yeah.
Which blows me away. Like non teen
Yeah.
movies, like a goofy jock teen, and
He- like,
Human Torch. He
he
was
was a-
kind of like a ladies' man, kind of jock thing, but a little bit
Yeah.
different than the Chris Evans from
Yeah.
non teen movie.
And then
Then Captain
Scott-
America, dude, those guys would never all hang out together.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all
Scott
three
Pilgrim.
completely different people. Yeah, Scott
Yeah,
Pilgrim.
he's in Scott
too.
Pilgrim. He plays a douche. Like
Yeah.
he's like
Yeah.
this douchey skateboard actor guy, and you're like,
And he's everybody's idol in Captain America. You want to be his best friend.
yeah.
In Captain
You know,
America.
I mean, they obviously do a really good job of auditioning these people because every time
Yes.
they get somebody, they're amazing.
Yep. The range that they're getting out of these actors is unbelievable.
Yeah, And, like I truly believe
I
that.
mean, they made an Olsen sister popular. I mean, obviously, it wasn't one of the Olsen twins.
Well, yeah, that's why because
But
she was
someone from the
addicted to
Olsen
drugs, yeah.
family is now like respectable again because of the Avengers
Yeah.
movies.
I mean, it did take a third generation for it to happen, but yes.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is that's the power Marvel had, but that's what I think that was their whole game plan ahead of time. They're like, let's not rush into this. Let's plan it out. Because I mean, it took Jon Favreau 4.5 years to make Iron Man.
Wow, I did not know that.
Like the first movie wasn't supposed to be Iron Man. It was supposed to be Ant-Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So Ant-Man was one of the original ones, and they're like, we can't do it. Like we
Is
just
that
we just
because
don't
of
have it.
this, they're going chronologically of how the characters appear?
No, literally, it's like Hank Pym is gonna be our like linchpin for the Avengers. That was the whole thing. And then it's like, we just can't do it. Like we can't narrow down what we want to do.
Yes.
And then Jon Favreau was like, well, I'm ready to go to do this. And they're like, all right, let's go into it. And then they rolled into it, and that's when they decided to make that whole thing go through. And they lined up Captain America. They lined up Thor. They had a Hulk going on. Unfortunately, that didn't work out because of egomaniacs.
Dude,
But
what a fortunate accident. Can you imagine starting off with a Paul Rudd Ant-Man movie to launch the Marvel Universe? That
no,
would have been a
because it would have
nightmare.
been Scott Lang.
That's true. It would have been.
It would have been Hank Pym.
You're right, dude. Well, that's a good point because that
Yeah.
would have been like more of that retro origin story they could probably tell now.
Yeah.
Of like Hank Pym's story, they can actually now that they have everything else out of the way, they could go back and fit that movie
Easily.
back in again.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing is like
It's
they
like a
just
Peggy Carter type of movie.
yeah
Or
the
TV series movie.
yeah the mini series that lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like Marvel, they sat down. They're like, hey, well, let's learn from what happened to all our other properties out there. Punisher, Blade,
Yes.
X-Men. Yes, X-Men did well because we had never seen anything like that. But if you go back and watch the first two X-Men movies, they are hard to watch.
Because so much
Because
better stuff has come out now.
we're spoiled now with what they're doing. Because even visually now, the X movies, even though I'm not a huge fan of them, visually, filming wise, cinematography capabilities of it, tremendously better than what the first two were. Like it's just night and day difference.
Well, the Apocalypse, as bad as that story was,
Yeah.
I won't say it's horrible, but I did not enjoy it as much as many other people enjoyed the Apocalypse
but
story.
visually, it was
Visually,
amazing.
it was
Well, except for
awesome.
Apocalypse needed that was a whole. That's a I can go on for hours about how terrible he looked, but
but
like
just the whole special effects in
characterization,
there.
yes, so good.
Oh my gosh, it was
So good.
amazing. That's what I love about the Doctor Strange movie too.
Yeah.
Visually, what they did was, it was like a complete mind.
Yeah, well, because
blowing experience.
they took what was in the book, like, yo, this is what obviously people like. Let's do that on camera, and we now have the ability to do it. You couldn't do a Doctor Strange movie 10 years ago.
No, there's no way.
Yeah,
I mean, special effects just wouldn't be able to handle it.
not at all. No.
And like you probably, I don't know how many people they must have had working on the artistic side.
Oh, so many.
Behind the scenes there, about 1,000 people probably.
Easily.
I mean, it's weird seeing like certain things. Like people call Steve Ditko a grump because he's kind of hermit-sized himself over all the years, but he had to be somewhere smiling about what they did in the Doctor
Oh,
Strange
easily.
movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that was a lot of his visualization come to life. And I would have loved sitting next to Steve Ditko watching that movie and seeing a huge freaking grin about how much justice they did to his thought processing of what he visualized on paper into a movie.
Well, it's like with Ed Brubaker and Winter Soldier. Like he was in it.
Ed Brubaker was in the movie?
Yeah, he was one of the scientists that was working on Bucky.
That's cool.
So when they were redoing his arm and re-brainwashing him after the first fight with
Brubaker was
Cap,
in that scene?
Brubaker and I can't remember his name, the artist. Epstein, they were
Steve Epstein?
Yeah, they were the two guys that were in lab coats.
Now I want to watch that again because I didn't even pay attention to that. All I was like that. Okay,
Yeah.
Bucky's getting revived here. He's getting brainwashed again.
That's Brubaker.
That's awesome.
And they were like,
That's
he even
almost
said
cool
like,
Stan Lee appearing in the movies, dude.
yeah,
That'd
that's
be
exactly
real
what it is.
freaking
That they're like,
yes.
hey, like let's do this. Like, you're literally the reason we're making this movie. Because without
That's true. Because Favreau was inside of
happy.
He wrote like one of those. Well, it didn't finish, but there was an Iron Man 3-part story or 4-part story that was supposed to go on.
Yeah.
And they never finished it. Eddie Granov did the art in it too. I can't remember what was the name of that one. Remember like Viva Las Vegas, something like that.
something like that, yeah, I can't remember what it was, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's like you have this like Stan Lee, obviously the father of Marvel Comics.
Yeah, Kevin Smith was in the Daredevil movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really cool.
He wrote that stuff. Like, so Brubaker, without Brubaker's story, which if you probably know the story of it, like they didn't want to bring Bucky back, and Brubaker was at one of the Marvel retreats and said, "Yo, I have this story." Wamsby comes back as a super soldier, just like Steve,
But
he doesn't know who he is, and he's like the anti-Captain America.
Yeah, that's epic.
And they're like, oh, yeah, okay.
Let's do it.
That's a way better choice. He's like, cool. And Brubaker has even said that was off the cuff. Like, he literally made that up right then and there.
See, that's amazing. That's really super cool stuff where you love your characters.
Yeah,
That's like Kyle
yeah.
Higgins going with that whole Nightwing behind, the whole story of like behind the black and the white, there's the gray, and that's the gray sun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like the Romeo and Juliet story they tried doing to make a name. This guy's been around since 1939, and it took up until the year 2011, 2012 for someone to come up with a cool origin of the name Gray Sun.
And the fact that it's not actually his real name.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's like one of those pleasant accidents that why didn't anybody else stumble on this 50 years, 75 years in?
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the thing, is like they're doing this, but they're doing it on their own terms, and now it doesn't seem like they are because it's like so formulaic, but they made that format. That's them. That's how they do it. And I say it all the time, and I compare other comic book style movies to it, and we did it today about when we're talking about Wonder Woman and stuff, is like you now fall in this rhythm where you expect to see things done like stinger scenes or blatant Easter eggs that are in it, and stuff, and you just like, he brought up one point, is like DC doesn't have to.
Yes.
They're doing their own thing. They don't have to. And like, I agree with that, but as like me, I'm like, I kind of want to see it, but he's I don't want to say he's not right, but he is right, but I don't want him to be right because I want that.
Because
themselves with them.
My point with that was that DC is building out their universes within the movies, while Marvel, yes, I will admit a little bit to Cody that Marvel does it a little bit within their movies, but for the most part, they link their movies together in those stinger scenes.
So the movies are individual
things,
and then the scenes in between are what link Captain America to Iron Man or Iron Man to Hulk, whatever it is. What he's saying is the Wonder Woman, the movie itself, is linking her to the DCEU because who she is. And Batman v Superman did the same thing. It was like that movie brought those three main characters together, and you don't need that after sequence to be like, oh yeah, by the way, Wonder Woman. You know, what I mean,
Yes.
it was then
Yeah.
she was in the movie. They didn't have to do just Batman and Superman, and then at the end during the credits be like, oh, by the way, he's a super hot lady who beats people up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They introduced her, and I think one of the most like bland ways possible, because there's like, yo, she can fight, by the way,
Yeah.
but it was like that was my favorite part of that movie, because like she comes out and you're like, all right, cool, what's she gonna do? And she just punches that giant monster in the face. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yes.
oh, she looked like him, but she got long hair and she a lady.
Yes.
This is different. So what his point was is like in Wonder Woman, they don't need, other than just to tell you the way it starts is like, hey, like, you know, Wayne Enterprises shows up, draws off this old ass photo, and that then ties this movie to what we saw before, because the photo that we saw digitized on his computer, he tracked down the real one using all of his enormous
Connections.
connections and power and money, and the fact that he'll just literally punch the teeth out of your face if he doesn't get it from you, and got her that photo, and then asks her maybe someday you'll tell me the real story behind
That
this.
was seamless how they
Yeah,
put that
and then
together.
boom, you jump into the story, and the cool thing it wasn't like a, hey, by the way, now we're just gonna jump right into the war. They go to Themyscira and
Going
boom,
back to her childhood.
yeah, and it's like
This desire to be this great warrior.
that was straight out of a comic book.
That was awesome.
Like
Really-
I expected someone to go, like she goes, oh, look in the picture, and someone go, turn the page, and you hear the page turn. Like that's literally what I expected to see.
That
Like
was someone storytelling you.
yeah,
It was
it's
a perfect
and
storytell element.
and it's genius because you can watch Wonder Woman without ever having to see Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, and never having to watch Justice League, and you aren't gonna miss anything.
Yes.
Yes, granted, you don't see Batman or Bruce Wayne handing her the photo, but you see
The story
what
is
little you need
understood,
to is
yes.
like this courier, even if you don't, if you can find someone who doesn't know Wayne Enterprises is, and you have this courier give this briefcase with a photo to her, and the letter saying, hey, I found the original, maybe one day you'll tell me the story. You don't need to know anything else.
Yep.
And you get to learn the story of Wonder Woman. Granted, the bonus is you see her at the end of the movie, and then you realize, oh, that badass lady who killed a god on an airport in West Germany is this lady who punched that monster in the face
Yes.
to save Batman and Superman.
Yep.
It just adds to it, but you literally cannot. You don't need to watch
No,
anything
that's
else.
a standalone movie.
Yeah.
To me, it's like that. It's perfect, either part of the story or
Yeah.
it's like a Lego piece.
Yeah.
I mean, that Lego piece has got all the definition it needs to be a Lego piece by itself. But what you build it onto something that is part of a beautiful.
It just makes it that much better.
Yeah, whatever artistic piece you're trying to make with it, it fits in perfect with or without being part of that Lego set.
Yeah, and another thing too is like if you look at, take like Captain America's Civil War, right? Obviously, you can't have the tension that's in that with all those other movies, right? It's a
Doesn't
shame,
work.
but that's
It's
what it
not,
works.
It's
Yeah.
not standalone. You can't have a
Winter
standalone.
Soldier, you can't do that either. It's not a standalone movie. Iron Man 2 can't have what happens in Iron Man 2, not because of Iron Man 1 and Hulk. You can't have it. But I believe Wonder Woman, you literally could take someone who doesn't know anything about any of it, have them watch it, and they'll be like, yo,
That was good.
that was so good. Like, I don't know who this lady is, but man,
That is like
I don't want to be her mad at me. You know what I mean? Like,
you could be an alien from space, not knowing anything about DC Universe, Marvel Universe, or anything. Sit down and watch that movie, and you would
Like,
like,
click,
wow,
clack,
that
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 lady's
was
badass.
cool.
Yeah.
I was entertained.
yeah, for sure. And like,
And you understand everything about the character you need to know about it.
I envy, I'm never going to say this out loud again. I envy kids nowadays, people Kayla's age, because they have the opportunity. She's a little more ruined because of you and having all your
Yeah, she
this around her all the time. So she knows the vast history. But someone
she's got
her
the
age,
information to be dangerous.
literally her parents would be like, oh, we're going to see this Wonder Woman movie. And she knows nothing about it. And her mind will literally melt
Yes.
watching it. And then that joy, like if somehow she doesn't enjoy it, but if she does, it would just open her up this new world that you and I and Joe have been deep in since we were younger than Kayla. For two of us, not so much Joe.
Yeah.
But that'd be like being able to be young and seeing Star Wars for the first time before anybody else. Like going to the theater in 1977 and seeing Star Wars.
With like you have no concept of
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
No idea.
You have no idea what's coming at you.
I would love. I mean, if you could give me one day a time machine and be able to wipe my brain of anything I know of Star Wars.
The Men in Black theme.
Yep, send me back, and I could just experience it for the first time.
That'd be unbelievable.
Mind blowing.
Yes.
Mind blowing. And I
think we get kind of spoiled because of how far movies have come. Like,
Yeah,
we could go
now
back,
is-
and if you've never seen Star Wars, if you're like from,
a rock,
yeah, somewhere like that, if
giant
once again,
block of ice.
you're that kid that's 6 years old, and you have no concept of what anything is, and you get to sit there and watch Star Wars again for the first time, like you haven't seen it yet. How awesome is that to the 6-year-old brain?
Yep.
To us, like we've seen everything else, Some of us are in our 40s, some of us are in our 30s, however old we are. It's like we're desensitized to it.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Star Wars is boring to us now because
there's
we've
very
seen
few
everything
things-
else that's come after it.
Yeah.
There's very few things that happen in movies and stuff nowadays that are really that impressive. And we last week's episode when this comes out I don't know, but one of the past episodes we did on Neil Blomkamp,
Okay.
who did District 9, Elysium, Chappie, who was supposed to do Aliens 5. It was also actually supposed to do Halo, by the way.
Yeah.
I love District 9, dude. I don't know what it was, but I really enjoyed that.
Because it was so different, but it wasn't. That's what we even talked about. It's different enough where you're like, oh, that's actually really cool, but it's not original. It is, but it's not. Like, it's hard. I know it's weird to say, but it's original enough where you feel it's so different and you've never seen it before. But if after you watch it and then you look at other things, you're like, oh, this is kind of where you get the idea for this. This is where you kind of get the idea for this. This is where this came from. I kind of get this now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like when you I remember my brother and I, we went to go see it. We had no idea what it was. We were bored one day. We both had a shared day off, and we're like, hey, it's a sci-fi movie. Let's go see this. What is it?
We're dealt
and-
with racial stereotypes and the most
Yeah.
ultimate. It was
Right?
like, it's
And
almost
you,
like an
you
X-Men.
watch it and you're just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we were watching it. We're like, how is no one talking about this?
I know.
Why is there 4 people in here?
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was like Thursday afternoon or something, and I was like, we're just like, it was phenomenal. Like, what the hell like happened just now? Like, and then like obviously it blew up and became huge because it made millions of dollars over what they ever thought it was going to make. I mean, it literally made 100 times more than what it
It's like
cost
Star
to
Wars
make.
was a
So
cult classic that never followed up on.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's like it could have been a major franchise, but it was such a good standalone movie in its own way. They didn't need to follow up on it in their own eyes or
Yeah.
something.
well, no, they were making. He's actually gonna make a sequel now. But
Is he good? I was gonna say that
finally.
that movie was such a great look at aliens invading Earth, but then not.
But it was,
invading.
but yeah, and this thing
It
is
was
like
it was,
that's like almost the
they got
a s-
repressed because
it's
they
like
were
a
from
secondary.
a different, yeah.
It's like a secondary plot of that movie is the fact that they're an alien race on our planet. It's just because it comes in and again it comes that thing where like the movie wasn't about the aliens showing up.
It's about
We
how
came in; they were
treated them.
already there. They've been there for years, and the world's already adapted to it.
Yes.
And we just treated them like the worst scum on the planet.
Exactly. It
You
was
know
like
what I mean?
the exact opposite of how everybody visualizes aliens coming in and we should be afraid of them.
Yep.
They're going to take us over. But then we just kind of treat them like they're Native Americans back during the
Yeah.
Revolutionary War.
We put 'em
Or
in
not
camps
Revolutionary,
and-
but you know what I mean? Before
Yeah.
the Revolutionary War. It's like that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is our area. It's like we're humanity. There's nothing
Yeah.
that can overconquer us.
And what I'm saying is it's so hard nowadays. I feel bad for filmmakers nowadays that are trying to make those big movies
Yes.
that I mean there's tons of filmmakers that make small movies, but obviously like my cousin we've talked about on the show before. But like I feel bad for people trying to make a next thing that would be Star Wars without being an established name already and like taking something and making it because people are going to compare you to what's there already. But if you're not original enough, when you take that, it's gonna fall flat because people are like, seen it already. I don't want to see it. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy to think about. Like now it's so hard to surprise us with anything that it's hard to see anything original because
I'm trying to think if there's anything that's just popped out. It's like, ooh, I want to see more of this type of story. I'm trying to think of like if there's anything that's really kind of caught our imagination over the years. I want to say Avatar, but Avatar put me to sleep. I hate saying it. It's great.
some
Everyone
people
says
don't
Avatar
enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, with things with Avatar was it broke a lot of the preconceptions of what it should have been, and it truly was a a Native American American type story.
Yes.
Just happened to be with blue cat creatures on a distant planet. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was
Future
no
Mind and
again.
Avatar kind of had similar elements
Yeah,
to it.
it wasn't an original story,
Yeah.
but it was an original take on a story.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And here, obviously, Indians never bonded with pterodactyl creatures
Yes, that's true, yeah.
and lived in a giant tree. Obviously, that was extrapolated from somewhere else, but the basic story is that's exactly what it was.
It's like Dances
know.
with Wolves.
Yeah, you know,
Thing.
we just don't have that, and I feel that I want more of that, but I just know it's so hard to do because there's really not
Like Lord
any
of the
new
Rings
stories to tell.
Maybe had a similar effect to it.
In a way,
that
but see
wanting to see like that, a franchise that people fell in love with, and just kept on going
And
through.
brought to life exactly,
Yeah.
and and it's funny because Joe years after seeing the movies, went back and read The Hobbit. Right? Did you
Yeah,
read all of them?
But those were
I
all
started
novels,
with
you're right,
I
those were
started with the
novels.
Hobbit
Yeah.
and went all the way through the Lord of the Rings.
And
Yeah.
realized like,
Yes.
oh no, this is like one of those things where like the movies are actually better because the books have so much weird random shit in it that you don't need.
Yes, it's just like extra
Yeah.
fluff.
Yeah, it's like there's parts of it that are so boring.
Yeah, because like
In the
Star Wars
books.
was an original movie idea that had nothing else behind it except George Lucas wanting to make this movie.
Sort of.
I know, like there's that. Obviously,
a
it's based a little bit off of
Hidden Castle, but we're not
Yeah,
gonna
Hidden
say it like
Castle,
that.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is, again, that's the thing was like nowadays. I mean, and I say nowadays, years ago, it's so hard to find something that's original that's never been done versus just taking something and putting a different light on it.
Yeah,
Taking a boy meets a girl story and putting it in a different environment, but introducing slightly different things to make it feel different, but you're more familiar with it. Avatar has that. The problem with Avatar is it's like way too fucking long for most people.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's super long of a movie.
Take naps during it.
Yeah, like it's so long, but when you look at Star Wars, like back in the day, what made it capture everyone's imaginations is not everyone had seen Japanese cinema.
That's true.
No one had seen a Kurosawa movie here in America that many, right?
Yes.
So
It's insane.
so it felt original, even though you knew the story. Like the story's not that different from anything else. It's a big bad force being taken on by a small good force, and then small good force ends up winning.
It's like House of Cards was not an American
Yeah,
Netflix show.
yeah,
It was
it's
based
not-
off of
yeah.
like an English Parliament
So it's just
story.
taking
What's the
something
name that it was
and
based off of?
I can't remember. What
So it's
called,
like something
yeah.
like that where we're not familiar with it,
Yeah.
but it's good somewhere else.
Yeah, and all they did is take that story and they adapted it to our environment that we're in, so we feel familiar with what's going on. Backstabbing politicians who murder aides when they do something they don't want,
Yes.
and are terrible people, but help people. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. It's like that. What's their
he
kind
helps more than he kills.
They're like anti-heroes.
You know what I'm
again.
talking about?
The Punisher.
No,
He helps more than he kills.
yeah, he more than
Frank Underwood.
he
What?
he helps
Talking
more
about-
than he. It's a Dave Chappelle joke.
Okay.
And where he talks about a superhero. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's a very dirty, very bad thing I don't want to talk about in front of someone who's in the room.
Okay.
But yes, you.
Okay.
But it's taking something that people love and putting something they haven't, like wrapping it in a different outside they haven't
Plus
seen.
the unknown, because that's the thing too, is like that we just go and vote for candidates and like stuff like House of Cards and that give like that image of what's going on behind closed doors and what goes on and things that like we.
And
sit
the other
there
thing
and
too is
supposed to
House
be
of
part
Cards too.
society.
Can you imagine if people knew that shit happened in real
Oh
life?
my gosh, dude! It would be anarchy.
Yeah,
dude.
people like, oh, I love Frank Underwood. Like, you do know he's one of the worst human beings on the planet,
Yes,
right?
It's insane.
But I love to see what he's up to. I'm like, you do know he's literally Hitler.
it's pretty scary. Like I
He's
started watching the third
a
season
terrible
here.
person.
Yeah,
Like, I love that show,
the show's amazing.
but you're not really rooting for him.
You just want to see what he's gonna do next.
Yes, exactly. Like if you
How,
root
like
for
how's
him,
he gonna get out of this?
yeah,
this next
exactly.
thing?
If you're
And
rooting for Frank Underwood, Francis
Man.
Underwood, if you're
this-
not a friend of his,
this was the first
You know?
time I watched House of Cards where I was kind of going, you know what, that other candidate, I kind of hope he wins. Just to see like that, if Kevin Spacey needs to leave the show, I kind of like this other candidate, even though he's like a young Frank Underwood that hasn't been corrupted yet by the amount of
Yet.
power that he can get by being where he is in office.
But see, the corruption that Frank Underwood has is going to be brought in full force to that kid, and that kid's going to fall.
Nice.
Frank's is,
And
but I'm
so,
saying
like
is
3
like,
episodes in of this new season, going, wow, this is so freaking good already.
yeah, and that's the thing is like, that's just another example of what I'm talking about. Is they took something that was successful, and just adapted it to be familiar for us. Blew it out of the water, and it just
Yeah.
helps that the fact that it's tremendous writing, it's tremendously acted.
And how
you
was
know?
like this fictional political campaign that was supposed to more or less mimic what happened last year
Yeah.
better than the campaign that we actually had
Yeah.
last year.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it was, and then this is, I think, the first season they've actually strayed to do their own story rather than mimic what's going on in society. Obviously, their ISIS, I can't remember what they call it, but they have their own version of ISIS
Yeah.
going right now, and it's like a domestic, not international
Yeah.
terrorism.
Yep.
But very, very, very well done stuff going on right now in House of Cards. I apologize, we went on another tangent there,
That's right.
but that's what's wonderful about trying to find these original ideas and like where are they coming from? They're not coming from anywhere anymore.
Yeah. It's really hard to come up with something original, and even if you do, it's gonna have shades of something else. And like my cousin who makes movies, their third movie that's coming out this hopefully later this year, but even their first two are just a different way of telling another story.
It's formulas now.
Yeah, and
like,
it's
which
just
one are you gonna
it's
take
how
to tell
can
the
you
story?
make how can you take one of the 12 story arcs that are available to tell about human beings and adapt it in a different way so it feels different but you can relate to it. And if you're good at that, that's what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? That's how you're gonna do it. But there's people who are out there making random nonsense. It's never gonna catch on to the mass. It's never gonna be the next big thing because it's too different from whatever you're looking at.
Was Blair Witch Project kind of like an adaptation that kind of led to
Yeah,
some
it's just
different
a,
things?
just a spooky force against people who don't know any better.
But like the first person type of story?
Oh no, that's a visual technique more than storytelling.
Okay.
I mean, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
Hardcore Henry did it way better than Blair Witch did.
Yeah. And then like that, what are those pseudo paranormal activity type of movies?
Yeah, anything found footage wise, yeah.
What was the one that
Because even in
Cloverfield-
those, you're not
Yeah,
telling a
Cloverfield
new
as well.
story. You're just telling it a different way. You're just taking a different way of
it's a different
looking at it
device, yeah.
and telling that same story. It's just a spooky story about a bad thing happening to good people.
Yeah.
Just instead of doing it as a outside view of it to being a first person view of it. That's all it really is. Because people say, "Oh, Hollywood ran out of ideas." Hollywood ran out of ideas years ago.
Yes.
They're just now running out of ideas how to make those feel new. That's all it really is. But I think that's going to be it for that. I
Yeah.
mean,
Cool.
we got a nice hour and a half in. So we're going to end the show with a thank you to Ken
Yep.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having
for,
me, guys.
for
man.
letting
Thank
us
you.
come in and invade your store for a little bit. And for a little bit, Miss Brown over here was here too. But that's it for Comes Naturally. We are
Joe.
I am Cody, and again, thanks for listening. I'll sign off with a normal one instead of my
Yeah.
curse-filled
Yeah.
one that I normally do because of Kayla's in the room. But that's it for this week's guys. We will talk to you next time.